All right, how's it going, everybody? I hope everybody's having a good Friday wherever you are in the world. It's 11:11 right now where I am, sitting in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. I wanted to share, reinvigorate a thought because I know I have been subject to this mistake in the past. So many of us, especially when we get wrapped up in the dietary dogma and the endless research and potential possibilities of ways to live and eat, we forget that diet is not the only thing that affects our state, and that could be at the root of our disease or whatever that is that's driving us to progress. There are more things at play, and I would like to simplify it as much as I possibly can, because simplicity brings peace and space to the mind. So the way that I see life, living life in the ebb and flow of this experience, most simply, is you have your inhale, your exhale, and your breath hold. And these are the three pillars of what I consider my personal practice, or an individual's personal practice. The inhale is your diet. It's anything that you consume. It's not just the food you eat or the water you drink, but also the air you breathe, also the content that you consume when you're reading things, the music you listen to, the environment that you put yourself in, the relationships that you feed. These are all types of food that affect you. Even the posture that you choose is a feedback loop that directly affects your mind, the chemicals that your mind produce. So diet is more than just the food that we're eating or the supplementation. What are we paying attention to? What kind of thoughts are we generating? Being cautious as to where we focus our energy. So at the root of all of this, really to know when to go back and forth from the inhale, when we need to receive energy, when we need to sleep is a part of the inhale. The exhale is all about expression, exertion, your exercise, your service, your communication, your expression, your art. So our inhale and our exhale, to have a balanced life, to make sure that we're not overexerting and giving too much, going too far outside of ourselves, and also to make sure that we're not so internally introverted that we don't find that sustenance that is giving. Sometimes that nutrient is just a relationship. Sometimes that nutrient is that conduit of self-expression. So observing yourself and your life in this kind of a simple manner can make it a little bit easier to zero in on where the balance needs to come. And the breath hold, the breath retention, is the meditation, it's the stillness, it's the reflection, it's the listening. And that's the pivotal point, because the clarity that we can cultivate with our stillness and our meditation is the power that we have to make the right decisions in our inhale, in our diet, in our action, and in our service, in the goals and dreams that we pursue. The clarity that we have when we communicate our heart to our loved ones, when we express our needs. So the limiting factor behind both of these sides of this duality we're experiencing is our ability to be present and clear. So cultivating that is vital. And having as many reminders as you can to bring you back to your practice. For me, the breath, relaxing the body, working to just clear and empty the mind. I find it really interesting that pranayama is a branch of the yogas, working towards liberation, the ultimate goal. Freedom, no limitations, union with the all, or reunion, as you might put it. Pranayama is all the breath work. There's a lot of different types of exercises and a lot of focus on using the breath because the breath is directly connected to the mind. The breath will reflect your state of mind. And just as we can use our posture to reverse engineer our perception to actually directly affect the chemicals that our brains release, we can use our breath. The breath is that bridge. The breath is like best friends with our center, with the heart. And when the mind gets agitated and it affects the breath, it stresses the heart out. So bringing awareness back to the breath and having an understanding that in pranayama, the ultimate goal is the cessation of the breath. Now, we hear a lot about doing deep breathing, full, deep breaths, deep, slow breaths. But when you get further into the yogas, when you come to that meditation, the breath becomes minimal. You only want to breathe just as much as is necessary for that moment that you're in. When we breathe too much, that's hyperventilation, and it causes actually acidification of our body. When you hyperventilate, you actually build carbon dioxide and acidify and further the stress. But when we can breathe just enough for the given moment, the breath becomes that balancing point. The inhale and the exhale, knowing when to give, when to receive, when to speak, when to listen. When we can really feel that breath and bring it as minimal as possible, we become extremely sensitive and aware and present. And it's that presence that we need to guide ourselves in our decisions. Because in this day and age, there's an unlimited amount of information, millions of paths. And to find our own way, to find our clarity amongst all of it, we need to cultivate that sense of presence and subtle awareness to what is true. We have this amazing device, this mechanism, this knowing of when something is true or not to us. And cultivating that is ultimately our navigation system through this life. So spending time reflecting and comprehending the idea that your diet is more than just what you're eating. If you're living in a household with somebody that despises you, that you despise, that you're afraid to be around, it happens. It's a common occurrence. But you have to understand, if you are trying to fix all your problems through your diet and that is there, you have to find a resolution to it. And if there's not, you have to move. You have to do something else. The practice is a balance of all edges there. Being aware of your environment. Toxins, not just toxic relationships, but what do you habitually watch on YouTube? What are you saturating yourself in? Because they say you become like the 5 people you hang out with most. Go ahead and think of the 5 people you like the most and saturate yourself. Hopefully they have content. Hopefully they live up the street. Hopefully you share a house with them. And spend more time with these individuals. Don't spend time with people who continuously indulge in wasteful activities, who aren't on the path as you are. And if those people aren't as obvious right now, just find those individuals, those idols that symbolize that pursuit of life, that level of devotion. Whether it's the Buddha or Jesus, and read those type of documents. Or Chuck Norris, watch those movies, Rocky. Find those images and those idols, and then ultimately the more you cultivate that within yourself, you'll start finding more relationships coming through in your life that support that. But it's important we find those supportive relationships, because that's such a nourishing aspect, such an essential vitamin that I believe we're all lacking so much. There's so many people, and we can communicate so much more easily than before, and it's opening up a lot for all of us, but it's an art that needs to be cultivated. And honest communication is vital. And to know if we're speaking our truth or not, we have to be connected to that navigation system, to our heart. How does it feel when I say that? How does it feel when I hear what you said to me? What do I honestly want to express about that? And when we can be expressing ourselves openly without restriction in any given moment, that's freedom, that's liberation. And the things that come out of that state of existence are what they call grace. It's graceful, it's beautiful how things line up, how problems resolve themselves, how things shift. So when we can become aware of that tension in us, that restriction of, I want to say this, I want to do that, what's blocking it? Let go of it, express it, always with the best of intentions. I was listening to Sadhguru. I really appreciate his videos online. He was expressing how in India, before they give a man education, they teach children a chant which expresses an understanding of our divine union with the universe. We are literally one with this whole thing. This is us. This is the I. This is God. We are not only part of that, but that is what we are. And understanding that before you go into the world where you basically get armed with education, when we feed the intellect with the ability to manipulate the environment, before we have an understanding that this is us, how we impact the environment is going to directly impact us, then we're in for a real problem. So having the fundamental understanding of looking at your entire experience as yourself and just blessing it, appreciating it, navigating it as that, acting in ways that aren't going to bring harm to other people or your environment, always using that. That's an innate thing in our hearts. Granted, definitely there are psychoses in this world and degrees of injury or mutation in the psyche that can cause the opposite of that. But at our root nature, our innate self knows how to navigate through this just and loving expression, this honest, loving expression. So reflection, spending time, getting in touch with that, and viewing life as a whole, not trying to solve your entire conundrum purely through diet. That's a principle, a thought, a perspective I want to share with you guys. I'm going to check out some questions, see how everybody's doing today. It's freaking Friday. Does that mean anything to you guys? What does that mean? Activated charcoal, that clay. Yeah, detox. It can be an assist for sure. I used to be way into detoxes, and I still am, especially when you're in an acute situation with serious injury. But what needs to be defined is a lifestyle that's maintainable, that you don't have to detox from. If you have the energy to go on a fast, but you haven't defined a clear lifestyle that frees you from needing to go on a fast, put that energy into living a lifestyle that's sustainable. Do you meditate with eyes open or closed? Both. Now, ultimately, it's eyes closed because what we want to do is withdraw from all sensory perception so that our feeling, that navigation, is not affected by the external. Being able to be in touch with that thing that's not of this material world. The entity, the consciousness that is receiving this, free from that. So closing the eyes is vital to that. However, that's the type of meditation that's at the very end of the yogas. So if you have difficulty with that, something I found useful to me is a yogic practice called Tritaka, which is single point of focus. And usually they use a flame, like a candle, or some will stare at a symbol, or even an image of a guru. But the idea is that you keep your eyes relaxed, fixed on that image. And for me, relaxing the tension around the eyes is definitely very valuable in the sense that they're the most sensitive muscle in the body. It's hard to really get all of the tension out of the eyes. And by stilling the eyes, it helps you to still your mind and develop your focus. So Tritaka, Tritaka, is a cool exercise worth looking into. But ultimately, we're going for that meditation. Something I really appreciated about what I learned from Amen and the way he meditates, he either does standing or lying meditation. So standing, if you're going to sit, you're already using your muscles to keep your body in this world, basically. It's going to be more challenging because it requires an effort. Now, I was always told that you do a sitting meditation, you don't lie down because you'll fall asleep. But that's the idea, is to be able to relax enough that you can release the senses but remain aware of yourself. So it is more difficult. But in this day and age, if you get a nap or you get some rest, it's not a bad thing. So I appreciate what they call recumbent or lying meditation. On the other end of the spectrum, if we're going to sit, we might as well stand, in the sense that when we practice what it is to be fully relaxed and present, meditative, in an upright position, for me it really helps to bring the meditative awareness into this walking reality, in this dimension, the upright reality. So I really appreciate doing both the standing and lying meditation. Most people are only using 10% of their breath capacity. I hear that. Sacred Serpent, I'm going to guess Kundalini Yoga perhaps, which is also an epic path, school of sorts, developing. They utilize pranayama to the T, and using pranayama and breath work to get in touch with the breath, this key bridge between our mind and our spirit, is an extremely useful tool. Pranayama, just even learning simple patterns like Wim Hof method. Most people are aware of his work. He's utilizing a breath of fire combined with the breath retention. So there are different patterns, there are different exercises that stretch and expand your lung capacity and develop your control and sensitivity to your breath. Now, the diaphragm is sitting at your third chakra, as they say, and that's the chakra of the will. It's the energy center, or the part of our person, our being, that has power to act. It's our willpower. So when we really develop control of the diaphragm and of our breath, we're really learning to control and exert our will, and also to learn to follow the sensitivities to ebb and flow and bend with the will of the all, with the will of God, because we're not going to force our way through this. This is a dance, right? It's not up to you to fully decide. It's up to you to see what the environment is right now, what you are right now, where you want to go, and to work with it, to dance with it. So the sensitivity and expression and expansion of the lungs really helps to open the mind as well, bring clarity to the mind, circulate the lymph throughout the system, just to wake the body up. Waking the breath up is key. I do pranayama practice every morning before my meditation. Yeah, when you're doing resistance training. So that's the cool thing, right? One thing that I've known for a few years now, I got to speak with a professional athlete, and she shared with me how if we maintain, while we're training, breathing only through our nose, it helps us to remain in parasympathetic nervous system, our relaxed nervous system. So it's also an excellent meditation, because you can reach your edge faster, so to speak. If you're trying to run sprints and only breathe through your nose, it's going to restrict you. But there's further benefits to that, because if you do research on hypoxic training, when we train in an environment with less oxygen, we become more efficient with the oxygen that we do have. And it actually enhances the development of fast twitch muscle fibers and our efficiency at which we can generate ATP in an anaerobic environment. So there's actually a whole, group or approach to training that trains with hypoxia. Breath retention while you do multiple deadlifts or squats. Hold the breath, 5 squats. Hold the breath, 5 squats. Don't pass out, don't drop the weight on you. But that's an approach to training, is learning to train with the breath held. And so a lot of these practices, sauna therapy, fasting, weight training, they're called hormetic stress responses. And it's just enough stress to where it freaks the body out and the body responds with beneficial metabolic reactions. And what it generates and how it gradually over time will shape our genetics, our DNA. We become more efficient. Somebody was asking me about caloric restriction the other day, and it's interesting to understand that there's a Native American tribe that adapted to 800 calories a day. They're one of the most obese populations in the United States today because they're eating the SAD diet with the genetics that are adapted to such minimal calories. They're so efficient at using and storing energy that in this day and age, they easily become obese. So 800 calories a day. Let that sink in as something that you have the potential to adapt to. How fast do genetic adaptations happen? I don't know, but it's definitely amazing to experiment with. All right, breath of fresh air. Thank you, Braden. God bless, brother. Yeah, man, we just got to keep talking story and sharing what we're into. Message retracted. Good to see you, brother. Devin. Golden milk, right on. Golden milk is using turmeric in milk. You can make almond milk, whatever kind you like. But turmeric has curcuminoids, powerful anti-inflammatories. Also, good to know, curcuminoids have been demonstrated to increase the production of the enzyme that transforms ALA into DHA, the fatty acid that's responsible for our ability to see, for our ability to receive light and electrons from the sun, makes up the outside of our membranes, part of our membrane of our cell, and allows for more fluid communication, demonstrated to increase IQ, anti-inflammatory, a profound substance that we don't necessarily produce enough of. Some people's genetics do more than others. Women do more than men. So finding ways to increase this, especially if you're a vegan and you're not eating cold water, seafood, finding ways to increase your DHA is a good thing to pursue. So if you're making golden milk and you can throw like some flaxseed in there, make it with flax milk, the curcuminoid will help transmute that ALA into DHA. Pretty fascinating. Doing well, brother. Thank you much, man. Yeah, and sleep is key, by the way. So you find those things that help you sleep, get them. Something I use every once in a while, I actually got right. I don't have it on me, but they found, especially if you're consuming caffeine later in the day, there are awesome studies out there that have shown, so if you drink caffeine too late in the evening, you go down into REM sleep, which is where your dreams are, but you don't hit fourth wave sleep or fourth, forget what it's called, but it's the deepest level of sleep. and that's where there's no REM, and that's where you get your best rest. That's when you let go of the body completely. The brain rests, the body rests. But if you drink caffeine too close to sleep, or smoke too much herb, THC does it as well, too much CBD does it as well, then you will stay in REM, which is why you have so many crazy dreams or just felt like you were dreaming all night. And you don't get completely restful sleep. So they found that a combination of hops and valerian root will attenuate or remove that effect of caffeine. So you can drink caffeine later in the day, hops and valerian, and still hit that deep wave sleep. So that's an interesting one to know. Chronically using valerian, real bitter herbs like that, I'd be cautious of. The combination is a synergy, so they actually have shown no toxicity over a 6-month period with what they were using. I traditionally stare at one point. Right on, dude. That Tradaka is key for me, for vision, just learning to relax the eyes. Yeah. Rick, brother Rick. Oh, hold on. Recommend, I feel the energy. What are you greater than, let the vegan diet work, less than, basics recommended? I'm not sure what you're expressing there. Vegan diet, you feel the plant energy, but have trouble meanwhile. Yeah, a mix of the almond. If you're gonna go almond, you got to really dial in nutrition, unless you have a bigger eating window. One of the most well-researched and solid things, everybody needs to find their own path, but something I've seen with certainty is having a bigger fasting window is an all-around works for pretty much everybody, unless you're probably in a really, difficult metabolic situation. But extending your fasting window, and if you're really going to go all the way like almond style, an hour a day, you're not going to be able to get all your calories. I mean, not your calories, but your nutrients in. So supplementation is key if you're going to go that far. And if you're neglecting some of these macro minerals or nutrients, then you'll definitely start feeling more fatigue and more hunger as well. Something I learned, potassium, which was my major issue, this electrolyte that I fell off of, is key for the absorption of glucose. So is phosphorus. And I was seeing the diet I was eating was low in both of those. So you may have excess cravings because of that, but also because of potassium's role in digestion, it's responsible for even the motility or the use of the intestines, the proper functioning of the muscle in the intestines. So potassium is really a key one. That's what I'm still trying to figure out a great source for, because at least what they're saying the RDA is, and the height that I feel good at, I'm having to supplement. Eating on the road. Yeah, brother, you gotta just cultivate. Brother Martin talking about traveling and being able to maintain good health. If you're traveling consistently in the same place, know where all the best restaurants are. Ultimately, if you can concoct things that will hold you over, nutrient-dense substances. I've become a fan of pumpkin seeds recently. Just the mineral profile is ridiculous. Or having a shake with your elixir if you make a smoothie or super smoothie, or like almond style elixir. Those are good things to travel with. Good teas, nutraceuticals. It depends on the length of the travel, but I would really work on developing a protocol, man. Refine it and share it, because that's something I'm about to have to be working on developing as well. I feel some traveling coming in my future, and I need to dial that in. Advanced video games. I think it's honestly a waste of time to indulge in those things. If you want to spend your time, following an imaginary world, deep down you're going to know that it's not real. My friend asked me how I feel about advanced video games, and I'm thinking you're talking about like VR. I'm sure it can be epic, but there's a danger there. There will be a depth of you that's not really fulfilled knowing that that's not a legitimate success or creation when you can actually do that. There's nothing better than making the dream come true in this body. We love to daydream, but nothing feels better than actually making it happen. Slow wave sleep delta. Yes, my friend. Yeah. Caffeine, you gotta watch out with the sleep. Meal prep. Cool, cool. Yeah, brother, I might do that one Eve. I've been eating super simple and just sticking on the elixir recently, so there's not a meal to prep, but we shall see. Awesome, guys. Just want to jump on here, spread some love, share the good word. Keep taking care of yourself, have some fun, circulate, share something that you love with someone that you love. Those are our two biggest restrictions. Time, it's our most limited resource, and our loved ones, the people that we cherish most in this life, are the most valuable things. Don't wait till you're on your deathbed to realize that. Listen to people who already have been. That is what's missed most. Spend time with the people you love and really, developing those relationships, helping them go deeper. And that's one of the difficulties. We have so many people we love, or there's more and more people we can connect with, and it's hard not to get deluded when we want to go deep. So that's why cultivating that skill of honest self-expression, we have the ability to just be real, honest, and go deep with people we just met. And when the other person's like that, you're like instant family. If you know what I'm talking about. You meet those people and you're down, you're there, you're open, because they live from the heart. And the more of us that do that, the bigger the family grows. And we don't have to spend years cultivating that. We do individually perhaps, but it becomes automatic once we're both there. So let's keep cultivating that together, my friends. Questions are always appreciated. If you'd like or appreciate this, please circulate it, share it, and let's keep it going. Awesome. Enjoy the weekend, and aloha.